Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Hello and welcome again. That is another episode of This or That. And last time it was a lot of fun, and my team has prepared 5 more questions for me. So I'm very interested, and I hope you also liked it last time, and so hopefully you will also like it this time. And it's entertaining for you and is revealing some secrets, not only about flood protection, about me as well. So let's see. And I think, are we ready? Okay, so then please give me question number 1. Mountains or beach? Good question. When I was at high school, I liked skiing very much. We were skiing with the schoolmates in Germany and in Austria, and then later on during university time, I was skiing in the Alps while I was studying in France. So I liked very, very much. But at the same time, I also like the beach and the ocean. I like the smell, the fresh air, the salty air at the beach. And at the end of the day, I think I prefer to be under sunlight, that the sunlight is heating up my body. I also like the cold, so that is not the case, but I think beach is better. Okay, I go for beach. Next question, please. Superhero movies or mystery novels? Superhero movies. Yeah, of course, I'm one guy of the generation that grew up with Superman and Batman, but not in the movies. That was more in by reading these Marvel comic strips, and that was quite interesting and fascinating. And later there were the first films about Superman in television or in cinema, and then later in television. And of course, that was very fascinating. Mystery novels, I did not read that much when I was younger. So there was no Harry Potter at this time, or Lord of the Rings was existing, of course, but that was not my specialty. So I was more with Superman and Batman and who else was there? That was the Incredible Hulk, yes, and the Flame, the Incredible Four, and Mr. America. So I think that is something what I liked and I still like. I would go for the superheroes. Do we have one more question? Of course we have. So handwritten letters or emails? I'm a quite old-fashioned man. However, I'm very interested and very curious in modern development, especially when it comes to IT technology, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. These things are very well appreciated. However, I like these handwritten letters. Or letters in general. Because that gives you a personal note. about the person who has written this message. Yes, you can write emails very fast, and then you can send them, and then you might regret it. That happened quite often, or sometimes. So what I do when I write a special email, for instance, and a sensitive email, something what is difficult perhaps, then I write this email and I park it as a draft for one night, sometimes also for several nights. And it happens to me that I open my email account and then I find some old drafts and from days, weeks before, when I was really angry about something or I wanted to write something for a good reason, and then it has become obsolete already. And I was thinking, hey, very good that I did not send this email, because it is so easy to just push a button and then the email is sent. A handwritten letter cannot be transported to the recipient, to the reader like that. You must write it, you must fold it, you must put it into an envelope, you must get a stamp, put the stamp on the envelope, bring the envelope to the letterbox, and that's a long way. So, however, I like these handwritten letters. Okay? Question number 4. Dawn or dusk? Dawn or dusk, that's a good thing. Are you an early riser who loves the freshness of a new day? So that is dawn. Or do you find peace in the quiet and beauty of the evening? So dusk. From dusk till dawn. Quentin Tarantino. That reminds me this vampire movie, From Dusk Till Dawn. So both is inside, dusk and dawn. So to be honest, I'm not really an early bird. I can be one, but then I must be very disciplined. That means go to bed very early and then get up early. So especially in summertime in Europe, I like to get up after 4 o'clock or 4:15 or something, and then be ready at about 5 o'clock. Then you can already see the sunlight. The birds are singing when the windows are open. Fresh air comes into the room. So that is beautiful. That is really beautiful. When you do that in the evening, for instance, in the Philippines, it's not a good idea, because if the mosquitoes will get into the room, and so you must keep the windows closed. More or less, even with these mosquito protections there. Anyway, I'm more a night guy, a dusk guy. So I have very good ideas when people are sleeping already and I'm still working, or I'm doing something and nobody is distracting me. Then I really prefer the dusk. From dusk till dawn. And then you can go to bed. Okay. Do we have one more question? Yeah, one more. I see already. Spontaneous adventures or planned itineraries? Spontaneous adventures or planned itineraries? Spontaneous adventures. That is something. Of course, we are not talking about going to the Arctic, or going to the desert and stay there for 3 weeks, or go to the Mount Everest, to the top of the Mount Everest. No, that must be planned, of course. I prefer to have planned itineraries. It starts first with a schedule, that you know when is my departure, when will I be back, because we all have obligations. You cannot just say, okay, I disappear now and let's see when I come back. Perhaps there's a family waiting. You have to I don't know. You must work. Then you have other obligations, meetings here, meetings there. From time to time, you have to go to a doctor for checkup, annual checkup, very important thing. And spontaneous adventures, it's very fascinating. Of course, you do that more when you are younger. However, I'm not against, and I like to do some adventures, especially when I'm traveling around and somebody is inviting me to do something. Recently, I just give you a small example. Recently, I was in Qatar, and a good friend of mine was inviting me and Maria Fatima, my Philippine partner, who was with me in Qatar. And our friend invited us to show us a farmland. And I said, okay, farmland, there are some animals, and he wants to show me how they operate, how they manage this farm in Qatar. Suddenly we arrived, and that was the biggest zoo in the Middle East. It's a private zoo, and suddenly we were in the middle of playing lions and tigers, 6 months old. So in the cage. So that is what I call a spontaneous adventure. It was not planned at all, and it was so great. So greetings to my friend. It was really amazing. So however, the question is, what do I prefer, planned itineraries? But from time to time, you can surprise me with such interesting and spontaneous adventures. All right. Okay, that was this or that. I liked it very much, and I hope you stay tuned. And next time, I think I don't know the title of the episode yet, but in the next episode we come back to the topic and we talk about the flood protection secrets.
I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering. German quality. Safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.